Afternoon and happy Thursday, everyone. It is Scott Wohlers with River Place Capital. It is Thursday, April the 8th, and wanted to talk about what moved markets last week, what we've seen in the markets, and kind of where we're going to go from here. And so last week was a strong week on a short week as we ended the quarter last Wednesday, and we really only had one trading day in the new quarter, which was Thursday, and markets were closed on Friday for Good Friday. But the S&P 500 finished the week last week up 1.2%. And with that, we saw a really great jobs report last Friday. And so to begin the week this week, markets were up very high off of the backs of that jobs report that came out last Friday. Really blew numbers out of the water, which is great news that Americans are getting back to work. It's a great sign as more and more states begin to reopen and more economies begin to reopen, that people are being rehired. It is very important for the economy. It's very important for the stock market moving forward. So great start to the week. And since then, markets have really kind of been flattish and have been kind of treading very gently higher over the last 3 days off of Monday. And as we're talking right now, the S&P 500 is at all-time highs. And one of the encouraging things, and one of the things that we've seen over the last week, is some of these large cap growth names that were the leaders last year that have been sold off pretty hard this year have really started to rebound and starting to make a comeback, and have really been what's been leading markets higher over the last week. As investors are speculating, what we're going to see is we are about to enter into next week, the first week of earnings season. And so investors are really focused on what companies have to say, not necessarily what they're going to report, because it should be very easy to beat comp numbers year over year for most people and most companies as we look into seeing their earnings. And what most investors are more curious and going to be paying attention to and react to in the market is what the forward projections are for the rest of this year for each individual company. And as we've been talking about in this market, it's really become a market of stock picking. It's not really a growth versus a value. It's not really a cyclical versus a non-cyclical. You can find winners in growth and you can find winners in value. And it's important that you find those individual stocks that have the business prospects that are going to benefit from the climate that we're in and the climate that we're going to be in over the next couple. And we are really keeping our eye out on what earnings are going to be doing. So at River Place, we'll be very tuned into earnings, getting a sense of where companies are, what projections are looking at, and we'll be happy to report back to you at the beginning of next week when we start talking about earnings. So for the meantime, investors are just kind of staying still. Little optimism off of the jobs report, and the economic data that we're getting is very strong. But ultimately, all eyes are on earnings next week. So as always, if you have questions about what's going on with your individual portfolio or ways in which we can help you, please feel free to reach out to us. We're easy to talk to, and we love to help people. And you can reach us at 904-346-3460, or as always, check us out online at www.riverplacecapital.com. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your week. Talk to you next week. Thanks.